Okay, hello everyone. Thanks for coming. This is going to be fun. So my name is Tina Wilson. I spent my career working at the intersection of design, product, and consumer behavior, helping brands turn insight into things people truly want to live in. From intimate apparel to sleep and lifestyle, I'm passionate about how fashion connects with wellness, beauty, and even what we eat. Today's conversation reflects the way our customers actually live now, holistically, emotionally, and intentionally. So we're excited to explore that with you. So today my guests are Agnes Landau, and she'll tell you a little bit about her background.
Hi everyone, I'm Agnes Landau. I have been over 30 years in the beauty industry with companies such as Estée Lauder, about 20 years there. I was the CMO for Clinique for about 8 years, global CMO. And most recently, I was at Shiseido as the CMO of the US for all the brands under Shiseido in the US marketplace. I've also have been at Revlon, I have been at Dior, and I have had both global roles and also US roles. This is my first time here at Curve, so happy to be here, very excited, and that's it. So I'm gonna pass it to our next guest.
Okay, and now we have Lish Steilling and Abbey Cook, the taste curators, and they're fascinating in how they weave food and fashion and color together. I'm a big fan of theirs.
So I'm Lish Steilling. I'm a chef, food stylist, recipe writer, culinary producer, and most recently a cookbook author. I was the VP of culinary for Giada De Laurentiis, and I've worked at places such as Today Show, Jimmy Fallon, Kelly Clarkson, doing all of the food styling for them and culinary producing for them. I recently wrote a cookbook with our friend Tamron Hall that's available called The Confident Cook. And then we also, my wife here and I, have a brand called The Taste Curators where we inspire joy through the connections of food, fashion, and color. So we do events that are designed to be immersive and all sensory inclusive. So merging food and emotions and color and fashion together, sometimes beauty, in ways that make people think outside the box a little bit.
All right, hello, I'm Lish's wife, Abbey Cook. I am a trend forecaster in color, fashion, and interiors, and I've been doing that for, 2 decades, and predicting a lot of big colors, going back to like millennial pink to black green, what became known as like Barbie pink. I do a lot with color, but then also helping brands strategize creatively, and also just really, even culturally, like how to push your brand forward 2 to 5 years out. So yes, with Lish, the Taste Creators, we also have a cookbook series that we'll talk about in a little bit that also merges color and food.
Okay, first question. What specific trends are you seeing in your industries that blur the lines between fashion and beauty and food? Think collaborations, ingredient crossovers, shared customer values like sustainability, etc.
Okay, so in the beauty industry, beauty in the US is about a $70 billion business, so very big business. Beauty has been on fire since the pandemic in general, all the categories growing, skincare, makeup, and fragrance, but right now, fragrance is taking top billing. Fragrance is now bigger than skincare, and really an incredible category right now with a lot of action. And the reason why I'm bringing fragrance up is because there has always been a link, obviously, on fashion to beauty, inspiration of colors. You know, some of the greatest makeup artists actually came from the fashion world, like François Nars and Charlotte Tilbury and Frank and Frank from MAC Cosmetics. So that link has always been there, but the link to beauty and food now has become much more prominent because it's going into fragrance in a very big way. It's inspiring creations in the fragrance world. This market, the US market, has always been a floral market, now it's a gourmand market where you're seeing scents inspired by vanilla, by strawberry, coconut, so these scents are really taking center stage, and there's a lot of inspiration there. And now it's actually going into makeup, and you're getting, of course, the glosses that are strawberry flavor and all of those things, and even into skincare. So we expect that trend to continue and to get even bigger as it goes forward. So this is not stopping here. And also, obviously, into fashion.
And just to piggyback on that, because that's what we do, we riff, but like the fragrance line from Nueve, with all of their home fragrances and everything, it starts with luxury and it's gonna just trickle down. So I totally agree that like the food fragrance is gonna continue to inspire as it moves forward. For me in food, I definitely see emerging happening with even chefware. So chefware, when I was a young chap, 15 years old in restaurants, it was baggy hammer pants. They were chef shirts that did not fit a woman of my size and my frame. Now we have people like Tillet, we have Hedley and Bennett, who are designing actual utilitarian clothing that looks good and fits a body better and still has that the ability to wear and tear in a kitchen, but you can go out afterward and feel good about it. So like even just that, where chefs used to kind of be looked at as not really caring about our appearance, now with open air kitchens, we definitely do, and there's more attention to that detail.
Yeah, the first time I saw her and she showed up in her chef wear, I was a little taken aback because I was like, what are you wearing? So I'm happy to see a change in chef wear, kind of seeing the fashion side big time. But yeah, I just think, luxury brands, like we've kind of all talked about, have really tapped into and have seen this amazing crossover in food and fashion. So we're seeing that trickle-down effect happen more and more. And I mean, when we first started talking about food and fashion, like over a decade ago, I think people kind of thought we were nuts. And even when we started our Instagram account 5 years ago, it was still very new. So I think finally, even just in the past couple of years, we're seeing this intersection merge more and more, which we can get into why in a second.
And don't forget the aprons. You had aprons on the runway this past spring, so it's here. Why do you think it's happening now? Is it driven by consumer demand or social media culture? The experience economy, which I think is a big part of it. People want to experience things. They don't just want to shop. What do you think?
I think it's driven by all of the above, right? You have definitely content creators that are making the connections for consumers between all the industries, between color, fashion, beauty, and actually scent and food. So those connections are being obviously put on hyperdrive by social media. Definitely is happening. People are looking for more experiences. I just read an article the other day in luxury, right? The consumption of luxury is going down, and anybody that was listening to the LVMH call also can see this, because they are basically looking at a sort of a flat year as it comes to next year. But what is increasing is how people are looking for experiences, right? They are looking for a very special either dining experience or something that other people can have in terms of the experience. So that's where it's at. And I think the other piece that is increasing this trend is actually a new generation of consumers coming in. Gen Z, which is consumers between 13 and 25, are consumers that are big time into this, that are driving this food trend that we're seeing actually in fragrance. And that whole experiential piece is also very driven by Gen Z. So a new consumer coming in is also driving an incredible, strong trend in that end.
I mean, I think the other big thing is we are just so tired of screens and this one-dimensional way of living. We're constantly looking at our phones, and it's just, I think after years of it, especially in the pandemic, it was a wonderful thing to be able to be connected on a screen, obviously, but we're tired of it, and we've been so insulated and insular, and we're craving community, we're craving connection, we are craving in-person experiences. Honestly, just doing this talk not on a Zoom is so refreshing, and I'm so happy to see all of your faces out here, because we're just so tired of looking at the screen. And I think exactly that, we want to be able to taste something, and especially like in the pandemic, we all were cooking at home. And I think we all kind of learned to appreciate food in a new way because we weren't going out. And so now we want to bring that outside of the screen and outside of our homes and exactly that, have an in-person experience.
I also kind of feel like in a time where a lot of things in the world in general are very separate and divided, we all get dressed every day, we all eat every day, we all put our pants on one leg at a time, last time I checked, you know, so in a way, like merging all of these industries is kind of trying to pull people together as we have these experiences together. It's something that really unites us all. We're all surrounded with color every day. We all choose the shirt that we put on to make us feel better. It's causing a positive emotion by pulling these things together.
I agree. So how do you implement a strategy? I mean, if you have a retail space, you have a brand, how do you actually implement food and beauty into your strategy?
I'll take the first one. I think you said a key word, and it's emotion. Emotion is the one piece that links all the categories together. When you think about, for example, a fabric, cashmere mist, right? Cashmere. It definitely has a feeling to it. It's warm, it's comfortable, it's high quality, it makes you feel like cocooning, right? There's food that you would associate automatically with that, right? Kind of like food that takes you back, that is comforting to you, maybe mac and cheese for some people, mashed potatoes for me. But there is food that is definitely associated with that. There is scent that is associated with that. There is a look, colors that are associated with that. You bring it all together with emotion. The emotion is sort of the cornerstone of bringing everything together.
You talked about a virtual experience based on what you were dreaming of or what you would like to find, and then in virtuality, and that is quite on their doorstep with AI, so that will come certainly. But at the same time that AI is coming in, is her experience with the museum who explains everything, because we are so lost in knowing who we actually are, and that knowledge of who we are is getting out of the window more and more when we are alone in the experience. Because when we sit behind our computer or in our restaurant and we ate the most beautiful thing and they can tell us, and that is what I think is there are big, fantastic experiences. What I think is the future of the department store, because the department store of the beginning, the first one in Paris, I think, Le Bon Marché, was somebody who could do something very well, authenticity, extremely well, and then decided to put that together with other things and other people who could do something extremely well, and put that in a sort of thing on the one roof so that everybody could shop. Now, that was also very much focused on one target group, people who have big money. And that is a little bit what we at the moment do as well. We are talking about extraordinary experiences which are only there for very rich people. And do not forget, we are, and I rather think that the typical African market with all its smells and things and tastes is, if we could translate that, like our markets in France, I'm lucky, but our markets in France, the moment they do a little bit of curating, they put it nicer together, they are booming, they are really booming in food in general, quite fantastic. Before the Christmas shop, during the Christmas shopping, in Le Bon Marché, one of the most expensive department stores probably in the world, the only area where they had to regulate the traffic was in the food store.
That's my favorite part of the store.
Was in the food store, and people read every every etiquette. You saw them standing and discussing with each other. And you thought, my God, are they thinking to give that as a present or something like that? A pack of Italian, far too overpriced pasta, perhaps not overpriced, but that. So there is that element of sharing, knowing more about ourselves, and uniqueness. Did I hear you say uniqueness? The uniqueness is also, and that is all out of the window with greed. I think greed is one of the, if I had to say out of the window, greed.
Yeah,
Wanting to become rich.
I agree. Yes.
Traffic marches down.
No, I was just going to say from a trend perspective, something that we've been talking about in my world for a little bit is bringing back the expert and stop with these, I don't want to diss every influencer out there, but those that don't necessarily know what they're talking about, but they have a huge following, and we're starting to see some brands tap into the experts. It doesn't matter your follower count. Like, we're very much, as a trend perspective, we're very much over that. And I think sharing the knowledge and sharing and like really tapping into what you know and spreading that knowledge as well. So the expert is definitely something that we see coming back into play.
Agreed. Oh, and one of the lines in this exhibit on sleep was, we're asleep 1/3 of our lives. If you think about that, you are in a bed, hopefully you're in a bed, sleep for 1/3 of your lives. So what you wear when you're doing that and what you do after that and before that is probably the another third of your lives. So I want to thank Agnes, Lish, and Abbey for a really wonderful talk, and we hope that you took something away, and whether you have a retail space or you have a brand or whatever your reason for being here, you can take a little bit of that away with you and use it to further your brand. Thank you.